Welcome back to Seat Time. I'm Woody, I've got the jorts on, and today we're gonna give y'all the 101 breakdown on Enduro. If y'all remember back to the early podcasting days, Papa Pierce and I have grown up racing Enduros. I love Enduros because of the fact that I think that they're a great way to enjoy getting seat time with your riding buddies, but also to get a tad bit competitive. If you're single track minded, we've got just the shirt for you in the Seat Time shop. The Shirtco suspension will be mounted back up in no time and we'll be ready to hit the trail. Until then, let's talk Enduro.
Enduro is short for endurance, and in our world, an Enduro is an off-road endurance event. An event that can last all day, covers enough miles to make you want a beer afterwards, or more, and has the type of terrain you'll want to write home about. Enduros used to be 100 plus miles, covering terrain yet to have been blocked by the environmentalist, with riders on machines that were so pieced together at the time, you were lucky if it stayed together so you could finish. As we've moved throughout the last 40 to 50 years, land availability has dwindled. Dirt bikes have gotten more reliable and riders' attention spans have lessened. This brings us to the National Enduro format of today. Go as fast as humanly possible while in a test section, and then transfer to the next test section. In a sprint enduro, there are typically no transfer sections. In a National Enduro format, a transfer section could be half a mile long, or it could be a nice 5-mile jaunt through the woods. Whatever it takes to get to the start of the next test section. The International 6-Day Enduro, or ISDE, Timekeeping Enduros, Sprint Enduros, Hard Enduros, and Reliability Enduros are all relevant Enduro formats. We'll break those down in more detail in a future video. An Enduro isn't a set length of miles. On a slow, technical trail, 45 miles of single track could wear you out, causing forearm spasms for a solid week. If the terrain is more open and fast-paced, 100 plus miles might be what it takes to have you curled up in a ball next to your bike's empty gas tank. The organizer, the terrain, and the available land will all dictate the length and the technicality of the Enduro you'll be taking on. Part of the fun traveling the country to ride different Enduros is how different the events are due to the terrain the organizer or club has to work with.
Oh yeah!
Lengths of test sections will also vary throughout the event. The variety in mileage lengths could be due to terrain, the way the organizer wants to test the athletes, or a combination of reasons. Organizers should have a route sheet that will tell you how many miles the event is, how many tests there are, and how long each test will be. Just because the test is 3 miles long, don't be fooled. This could be southern Louisiana where you're weaving your way through the tightest pine trees known to modern man. Due to the endurance nature of an Enduro, you will want to make sure you prepare your bike and body for a full day of riding. If you're looking to race your first Enduro, test the waters by making sure you can ride 45 to 55 miles with your riding buddies. Being on the bike for this amount of miles might sound easy, but race day always seems to tick up the pace, so you'll be a bit more worn out than a normal day of getting seat time. If you're not running an oversized tank, you'll want to know how many miles your bike can go before needing fuel. My CR80 back in the early 90s had a number plate gas tank so I could make it to the gas stops. Modern dirt bikes, whether we're talking fuel injected or TPI, are very fuel efficient, but it's still a good idea to have a rough estimate of the miles you can cover before starting a day-long event.
Wow!
Hydration and nutrition are key to enjoying your day on the bike. If you're new to this, drink water throughout the day, get some sodium in, eat carbs and protein, and don't introduce new foods on race day. Carbs do not only equal gummy bears or Sour Patch Kids. Oranges and bananas can go a long way for a day on the bike. You don't want to introduce new foods on race day because you don't want to have to be reminded that you forgot to pack toilet paper. It typically doesn't end well. You should prepare for an entire day on the bike. The way I look at it, you need to have all the food, water, and fuel, as well as all the tools and parts you will need to make it through the race. If you expect to borrow tools, eat food provided by the organizer, or tell me that there is water and beer at the end of the event, you're going to be the guy finishing in the back of a pickup truck or getting taken to the hospital. The riders meeting should let you know where the gas stop is. If it's back at camp, you'll be able to refill your water and grab a bite to eat back at the truck. If the gas stop is away from camp, make sure you place a bag strapped to your gas can on the trailer taking the gas cans. At a minimum, you'll want water, your snacks of choice, ibuprofen, and a towel to clean up with during the break. I've gone so far as to have caffeinated drinks, GoPro batteries, extra gloves, extra goggles, and an extra pair of big girl panties to make it through the race. Whatever it is you think you'll need, plan for it, pack it, and enjoy it. Motocross tracks and riding parks are great places to be on your bike, but since most do not mark their terrain, you may not know how to follow trail markings. In an enduro, you are following arrows. Even if the trail you are on goes left, if the arrow tells you to go right, you go right. The organizers might have you heading to a new trail, another trail system, or you could be rerouted around an obstacle too gnarly for the event. Other markings to help you, the rider, know when to be on the lookout are large X's and W's. The X's are used for caution points. The more X's you see, the more potential danger. So if you're blazing the trail, tapped out in fourth gear and see 3 X's coming up, slow down and start to take your surroundings in. W's are used for wrong way markings. Referencing the right-hand turn we talked about earlier, if you would have continued on the trail after taking a left, you probably would have seen a few W's stapled to the trees. W's aren't fun to see, knowing you need to slam on the brakes and figure out where you missed the trail, but it's way better than riding a few miles in the wrong direction and getting lost. Keep it simple. If the arrow points straight, go straight. If it points down, slow down. If it points left or right, you are turning. The way rows work in an enduro can confuse new timers. If you're on row 44, that means your race will start on the 44th minute of key time, which is when the race will start. Key time has traditionally always been 8 a.m., but with the National Enduros transitioning to a 9 a.m. key time, many other local organizers have adjusted the start time as well. If the key time is 8 a.m. and you're on row 44, you'll start at 8:44. The minute difference per row will carry on throughout the day. This also means if you catch racers in front of you, you're going faster than they are, and they should give you the right of way on the trail. If someone comes up behind you, they're going faster than you. You should give them the right of way on the trail. Don't let this be an ego thing. If someone is faster and catching you, give them space to pass. I let Cole Kirkpatrick do it every time. I have video proof. There are 4 to 5 riders per row, and you probably are not the fastest one. If you don't know the other riders on your row, see what class they're in so you have an idea of the pecking order. Don't then decide to race them into the first turn. It's not a cross-country race. I have punted many riders into the trees due to them thinking this first turn in a test was their chance to be the best racer. It's not. To win an enduro or win your class, you need to have the lowest score of those you're competing against. Enduros are a different race format due to the fact that you're really racing the clock, not all racers on the course. Your score for each test section is the amount of time it took you to complete the section. Your score from each test section is then added together to give you a score for the day. This is way easier than it used to be with timekeeping enduros. If you really want to break your brain, Google scoring a timekeeping enduro. It's not fun, and you literally need a cheat sheet. Last but not least, have fun. Most of us are not professional racers, and we're racing dirt bikes for personal goals, to challenge ourselves, or just so we can talk our friends for hours around the campfire.
I have never been that limp and had that much fun.
What did y'all think? What's your experience been with enduros? There's so much more that we could talk about when it comes to enduros, but if you've got any direct questions, put them in the comments below and we will get you some answers. And remember, if you would like to support Seat Time, you can pick up this single track minded shirt at shop.seattime.co. If we don't get a chance to see you on the trails, we'll see you on the internet. Enjoy getting seat time, everybody. Peace.